I'll record it. So basically what we're looking at is, and Drew, I'm going to have her comment as well, kind of working with the town on more supporting our emergency volunteers. And I think we're better as a team. So we're looking at how we can, finger off of the umbrella and provide some of those opportunities for people who want to volunteer for the town, have more of an organizational component and structure to it. So it makes more sense and people know exactly what's expected of them or not expected of them, right? So I think there's still some convolution with, okay, what is expected of us, what is not. And that's true from, and Eduardo and Drew, you can comment on this. Some of the people in the ECC feel that way. I know there's some certs who kind of go, I'm not sure what's going, So I think it would be really beneficial for us to create sort of a project around this and talk to the town and be a little bit more of a team when it comes to our emergency volunteer department, I guess is a better way to say it. Drew, do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, just to reinforce what you said, Victoria, is that, that ultimately, whether it's CERT or whether it's ECC, we're here to support the town's emergency planning and preparation. And so we feel that if we can have sort of an umbrella type of a view of it and different channels that we each might be working in, emergency communications or on the CERT side, some of the things that Victoria has referred to. So we'd like to work in that direction and put together some thoughts to sit down with the folks at Town Hall and get their thoughts.
I think for the CERT side of it as well, we want to incorporate, we've got some volunteers that want to come back, but they don't want to come back in the capacity of a DSW, right? So we can work with the town on, what can that look like? Can they just be a town volunteer and have, a different, sort of system they're working under, not necessarily CERT. So this is just very basic, broad, high level overview of what we're thinking. What I'd like to do in the meantime is maybe have like a focus group that we put together between, ECC, CERT, anyone really could have a voice in it. I know Dave's been talking to Bruce Martin and we're trying to pull him back in a little bit and trying to get some people that really want to help and how can we support them in that. And I think if we go to the town and say, hey, this is what we've kind of come up with, are you willing to work with us? Because, there's liability with some of that stuff. So we want to make sure that we're doing due diligence and kind of talking through that. But I think that it's beneficial for us to look at that because we've talked about it for a couple of years. So I'd really like to see us do that. Okay, looks like most of us are on here. I'm going to stop there for a second. We'll come back. But I want to play my admission moment and just kind of take a step back. Today's pretty smoky out there. And of course, the feelings of, oh, it's pretty smoky and wildfire are kind of going to be on our minds. But I want to just kind of show you what we showed last night. So hold on one second. I'm going to switch my screens here.
Hey, Drew, can you mute? It seems like I'm hearing something of
it's
an echo.
It's my airplane, Dave, but I'll shut the engine off. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Hold on.
CZU, which is forcing new evacuations in San Mateo and Santa Cruz counties.
I did not know that we were going to be receiving an evacuation warning. A few neighbors and I had been monitoring the CZU fire since there were hotspots nearby, and we had discussed the possibility of being evacuated. And that was only if the fires were to spread in our direction.
Now at 11, we have breaking news. The Bay Area burning as hundreds of wildfires rage. CAL FIRE warns all of us, be prepared to leave at a moment's notice.
The unincorporated portion of Moody Road received our evacuation warning around 7 p.m. on August 23rd. And as I had mentioned, a few of us had already been monitoring the situation for the CZU fires.
22,000 people have been ordered to evacuate. The flames are, there is no containment, 0% contained, and they have consumed at least 20 homes.
After receiving the warning, I contacted some of my neighbors, including my landlord, and let them know that we should start planning to pack up our belongings and possibly stay at a friend or family's house until the warning has been lifted. I saved a few checklists, including an evacuation checklist and go back checklist on my phone. And I was able to pull these up and assist 3 of our neighbors with prepping their homes and their go bags.
New evacuation orders have been issued all over the Bay Area and in the Santa Cruz Mountains.
Once my neighbors were safely evacuated from the property, I stayed there and prepared as much as possible for the incoming fire threat. We have a lot of dry brush that's surrounding our homes, so I spent a few hours in the late evening clearing the brush and then saturating all the fuel that was laying around with water. We could have done much more to prepare our property, such as clearing the brush, removing the fuel close to the house, and many other things. Taking advantage of the district's brush chipping program now and not waiting for an evacuation warning would be better as well. I encourage all residents to start taking advantage of the programs the district has to offer, and also sign up for the next CERT Academy, because it is one of the most valuable programs that we have to offer. I highly recommend that if you live in an area that may have a high risk of fire, earthquake, or any other disaster situation, to start making a plan for yourself and your family today. Los Altos Hills is an absolutely beautiful place to live. However, we do have a very high fire risk, especially with the drought. It's important to regularly maintain your property, do brush removal, identify your ignition zones, and also just know who to call or reach out if we do receive another warning. If we end up receiving an actual evacuation order, it's also really important that residents are properly prepared to leave in a timely manner, so that way we can let our first responders do their job.
What do you guys think? You're that flabbergasted and there's just no words because it's so awesome.
It was excellent. Thank you, Victoria.
Awesome. Yeah, that was really good, Victoria. It was a good thumbnail summary, but it really captured a lot of the moments.
So
is that available online?
We're going to be putting it online. Yeah, I think what we have to do is make sure we have permissions to do that, to put it out publicly. I mean, we kind of did already, but Jay wants to make sure we have kind of everything in place for that. We just kind of showed it at our meeting. Because what I'd like to do is I think we talked about this last year, but then COVID kind of screwed some stuff up. We have a videographer, we have a drone guy, and I'd like to start utilizing that for CERT and putting some videos together that we can use as a marketing tool. You know, I think what I'd like to do at some of the events we have coming up is, you know, put some reels together of us doing things as CERTs, right? We have some still footage or some still pictures, but I'd like to get some videos if we can and see if we can, you know, put together some marketing. This guy's really good. I think he did a great job with this. I know that we're going to be doing some more mission moments. And I know that they've asked if, you know, we would be willing to have some of the CERTs, you know, be part of some of these videos. Drew, I think they want you to do a FireWise one, talk about what you've been doing with FireWise. You know, I think for us, we have limited activations. You know, we're looking for things to do and to help our community. And I think this is a way we can do that is, you know, we've got earthquakes, which is one disaster, right? A big risk in our community. We also have, obviously, you know, wildfire. And so I think we should start thinking about how we as a CERT group can support the wildfire preparedness aspect of it. Obviously, we're not going to go fight fires and, you know, evacuating people is probably going to be a little bit more out of our realm because we want to make sure we're safe first, right? And our families. But I think really, you know, there's some things we can do when it comes to educating. And I'm, you know, just encourage you guys to kind of start thinking that along those lines of seeing what we could do as a group to support, you know, our community and wildfire preparedness. So, Walter, do you want to talk about is this the Walter, Drew, that's, yeah.
Yeah, this is the real Walter.
Yep.
That's the real Walter. Okay. Walter, do you want to introduce yourself, if you know, and kind of talk about why you're here and how we can support you?
I'm a Scoutmaster. I'm coordinator for radio, what we call radio scouting in our council, which includes this slice of Santa Clara County and all of San Mateo County. And I'm also in Palo Alto. I'm a CERT, Aries volunteer for 10 years or so, and I've done our fire watch on July 4th up in the hills, that kind of thing. So, so in every October, middle of October, there's a weekend. This weekend is the 16th, which is called Jamboree on the Air, and we encourage youth scouts, also in Girl Scouting, though I'm in the Scouts BSA, to get together, talk to other youth around the world, around the state. Just get on the air, get interested, and have some fellowship with other scouts. We did that the last time we did it a couple of years ago. It's a great chance to also do some emergency awareness. So I'm hoping we'll do it again at the Los Altos Youth Center. There's also a couple of other things. There's Emergency Preparedness Merit Badge, EPREP, it's called, which is required for Eagles. So a lot of scouts do that. EPREP was rewritten a few years ago, and it now actually includes learning ICS and NIMS. So you've got a whole bunch of like 12-year-olds learning ICS and NIMS. You've also got, and they do it, one of the options is an emergency service project. So it's up to the merit badge counselor to decide what an emergency service project is. But that's certainly, and it could be a group project, it could be a bunch of people as long as everybody's contributing. So that's certainly one pool of kid power, of organized youth that could be helpful. Another thing is that's not used a lot, but there is an official FEMA teen CERT program. So 14 or older can be CERT. And there's a program in Scouts. We have Cub Scouts, which is basically elementary school, Scouts BSA, which is middle school and high school. And then overlapping with that is venturing, which is 14 to 21. So the venturing crew is a good match for teen CERT. So if there was interest, it's really easy to charter a venturing crew. You need like 5 youth or something, and a couple of adults, and you get BSA insurance and that kind of stuff as well. So yeah, so there's just a bunch of things we can do, and we're part of it is just getting on the air and getting prepared. Be prepared is our motto.
Thank you. I love that. We do have a teen CERT program. Which I think that's what we are going to have you come in and talk about. Is there anything that we as like the adult CERTs for the teen CERTs, can we support you in that event? Is there anything we can do on our end? Not only, reach out to our teen CERTs and get them involved, but is there anything from this group that we can help you with?
Well, the Scouts come with parents. So you've got a captive audience of parents there. If you want to do anything along with, I'm sure Los Altos will have some things set up. 2 years ago was the first time we'd done it at the Los Altos Youth Center. And we really just kind of set up some radios and invited people to see how it worked. So we're glad to expand it to do more emergency focused things. We're still planning. Obviously, everyone's plans have been upended. So yeah, we're expecting to do it outdoors and hoping that that's okay. And that the epi curve is on the downslope by that point.
Are those Scouts are boys or?
So about in 2019, the Scouts have included girls in all of the programs. Before that, the Venturing program 14 and up has been co-ed for a long, long time. And then Cubs started being co-ed. So now we have girls. I'm actually the scoutmaster of a girls troop. There's been some disagreements with Girl Scouting about girls in Scouts BSA, but they're pretty different programs. And so there's some girls who are in both. There's some girls who really prefer one or the other. So yeah, we have girls and boys.
Oh, well, this is Drew, and thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. Sorry I didn't get you on the message routine, but I'm wondering, number one, operationally, are you still available on September 7th? Because we were going to try to bring you in as well to the ECC meeting to talk.
Sure.
Okay. And then secondly, you mentioned, and I'm wondering whether you're having any luck finding, because it's the same weekend as the October JOTA is the same weekend as PacificCon, whether you found any luck in finding an HF rig and an adult person to go with it.
Well, we've got I've got a portable rig that I can haul over. So that's the equipment's not a problem. It's mostly most of our, and I think we have some volunteers. More volunteers is always helpful. We don't have to have, as long as we've got 2 registered scout leaders who are trained in youth protection, then everybody else can be a volunteer. Doesn't have to be a scouting adult. I'm wondering whether we'll be doing, do we have one person take a group through different stations so we don't have a lot of contact between different adults? There may be some different organizations. That's probably our biggest thing. One thing we have organized for this year is using the Calnet linked repeater system. So we'll have communication up and down California, which does not depend on the ionosphere. The ionosphere ferry is happier these days, but still, fickle. But the repeaters are pretty much up. So
is that, go ahead.
So they're linked repeater systems. We could talk to Orange County, we could talk to all up and down Sacramento.
Is that the same as what used to be called a Concord? What was that one? That's fine.
There's 2 or 3 of them. There's a Cactus Intertie. There's Winlink. No, there's something else. Anyway, this is Calnet's a different group.
One of the things in Victoria, she's got and maybe Victoria could share with all of us a little bit on what's going on with your teen folks, but she's trying to put together a team, a CERT group, and then also on ECC and the emergency communications side, we had an excellent result with a teenage member some years back, went on and he's, went through Stanford and all that. So, but he was a great contributor to the group. So we're looking also for teenagers who might be interested in the town committee, and certainly open to do that. But yeah, if you could work with Victoria with her teen group, and then maybe we can orient on the September 7th meeting any kind of additional support you might need. So Victoria, do you have any additional thoughts on your teen group?
Yeah, we can definitely talk offline about that, but I also think that it's a great time for us to possibly recruit parents, right, for CERT. So, I think we can definitely support you, and then have an opportunity there too to, collaborate. So, yeah, that's great. I'll definitely shoot you an email tomorrow, and we can start the conversations. I did reach out to Anne to see where she had booked the place for, and she's out sailing in Maine. And so I think this is kind of off her sort of chart right now.
As one does.
Yeah. So I'll reach out to you, but I really appreciate you coming and talking to us about your program. And I think it's important for us to, work together and collaborate. All these are opportunities for us to just expand our reach out into the CERT arena, and then also to the emergency communications. So I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much.
And, it could be just earthquake and wildfire preparedness for, outreach from the teens members to parents. The 6 Ps from the Prepare for Wildfire site that CAL FIRE has, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And
Great.
also, Walt, I think the last couple of years, I've had great fun participating with the folks because we live right on the Palo Alto corridor, so I have a good view of the mountain. But one of Eduardo Arias is also on, is co-chair, and we're kind of interested in working cross boundary line too, since we're right on the north edge of Los Altos Hills for us. Eduardo's at the other end of town, but we all, working closer with the Los Altos hams and the Palo Alto hams, just to see where we can kind of support one another. So I really appreciate you attending tonight and look forward to seeing you next month.
Sure.
Thanks, Walter.
Yeah, and for the Festival of Lights Parade, for example, we've got Palo Alto people and all kinds of people in Los Altos. That's a super well-run event.
Right, and a lot of our folks are there too. So yeah, I just think it's good because there's something about the disasters that don't necessarily follow city boundaries.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you. I appreciate your time for sure. Anyone have any questions for Walt? All right, I'm sure we'll be hearing more about this event coming up here soon. Okay. Did anyone have any questions about what I kind of brought up here? I think I'm going to do an email to see if anyone's interested in sort of helping kind of define what we're looking for in terms of our volunteer structure. So just be on the lookout for that, and hopefully we can get some. I can't see everybody, but if you guys have questions, just pop up, or if someone can moderate, that'd be great. I just want to let you know a little bit about what I saw at the National CERT Convention that I went to in July. It was really good for me to look at the best practices from other CERT programs and trainings, etc. As always, when I go to these events, I am so thankful for you all. You're great to work with. I didn't have, a lot of them were stories of, rogue volunteers and what do we do about that? And I thought, I don't have any of that. I have great people, and it just makes me feel so happy every time I'm in these situations going, yes. But I think I sent an email about the July launch of the CERT Train the Trainer virtual program. I would love to I know some of us have already taken Train the Trainer. This was a great program because it also incorporated the new 2019 curriculum, which I think is a little bit different than the past curriculums. There's some things that I love and some things I really don't like. But if you're interested in doing that, I know I had one person already sign up for the program. I will support you in whatever I can take that program. That was a really interesting program for me. I got a jump drive of trainings and activities from all over the nation. So I've got some ideas to kind of beef up our trainings and our activities. I'm really excited to be able to do that. If you guys haven't heard of National CERT Association, I really suggest that you look into it. They're a great resource, not only for program managers, but also for any CERT. They have a great resource library, classes you can take, all the up-to-date stuff on what FEMA is doing. So I really encourage you to look into that. I think it's like $27 for the year, and you will learn a lot. I learned a lot just from being at the conference and talking with some of the members. The president of it is our state CERT coordinator, Subha. So it's really cool to see what he's doing with CERT programs and some of the ideas that he has. They work very closely with FEMA on curriculum and all kinds of things. So definitely check that out. I did learn too, there's a triage module for the online program for the CSTI. So I'll probably be looking into that. But if you're interested in looking at it, if you go on the CSTI website, you can search for the CERT triage module. And that's what they've done since they took away triage out of the regular curriculum in 2019 and made it optional. They did an optional module. So I'm sure at some point I'll be introducing that to you guys as well. But if you have nothing to do and you feel like looking at some triage stuff, I would recommend that too. There's a lot of talk about regionalization of CERT and re-engaging CERT members after COVID. That was a huge kind of spotlight at the conference. We're not the only ones that have kind of lost people and are struggling with kind of re-engaging. So it was good to get some ideas. We're already kind of doing some of those things. But now that we're back to you know, in person versus not in person, and kind of figure out where we're going to go from here because of the variants, things like that. You know, we may want to look at some of the things that we're doing. The next event is in Galveston, Texas, and I encourage everyone to go. It was great. There was a lot of people that that I learned a lot from, a lot of networking with other CERT groups and things like that. So, you know, consider going. I can give you some more information. I'll be sending this PowerPoint at the end as well, but there's a survey monkey you can take that you can sign up for the conference, and they'll kind of tell you, you know, more about it. But I know last time the pre-conference classes started a couple of days earlier. That's what I did. And you might be able to catch some really good classes pre-conference as well. And anyone can go to those. It was I would say 30% paid staff, and the rest were all volunteers. So you'll definitely be part of the group there. Resource typing. So if you hear about this, I just want to kind of give you an update on what FEMA has put out. You know, when I went to the conference, a lot of people there, they got deployed a lot because they're from the Midwest. There was a lot of hurricanes and tornadoes, and there's a lot of regionalization there and task force that go out to different events and disasters. And so I think, you know, FEMA is trying to make it so that you can be part of a deployment, but you have to hit certain tasks and certain trainings, and someone has to be the one that's going to teach you those things. So this is basically just to let you know that this exists out there. It's a large part of having to manage this. There's like task books and things like that. If you want to check it out, there's some links there. It's not really part of what I think we're going to be heading towards at the moment. Maybe down the line, further down, if we feel like we want to, you know, become part of a deployable force to go out to different areas, that's great. But just know there's quite a lot of classes that go into these different positions. Even though it says CERT volunteer, there's like all kinds of classes you have to take to be that volunteer. And then there's tons of sign-ups and training. So we looked at this as a CERT program manager group. I get together with them every month. I'm the chair of the group. We kind of looked at it and went, oh, nope, not going to happen. That's a lot of training and a lot of work. But obviously down the line, if you guys feel if you want to go these directions, we can definitely talk about it, and whatever I can do to support you, I will. I just think right now it's a little bit, it's pretty lofty and requires a lot of training and things like that. So, but I wanted to let you know if you saw this, if you're part of the NCA or you get FEMA emails, this might have popped up on your email. So I just want to kind of explain it to you, and it's not something that you have to do. This is just if you want to be part of a national deployable team, these are the things you have to do to be part of that team. Also too, I've been involved in a regional GIS mapping project with the county. I just sort of jumped into it, and as Neil and Dave can attest, I know nothing about technical stuff and mapping. However, it's been really interesting to see what they're doing. So basically, you know, the county is running this project where they're going to be looking at different layering for GIS mapping. And we as a district, the town, we can add layers onto that as contributors. And one of the things they're looking at is to take things like Survey 123, which you guys may have, some of you have probably heard about. It's a damage assessment online tool. There's also Esri Quick Capture app, which I'm looking at for our program. And then Zone Haven, which is something that you're going to be educated on coming up here, but they're able to incorporate all of those layers onto one big map. And it's all online. And, you know, as a district, even as I think CERTs, we can hook you guys up with being able to look at these different layers for emergency planning. Way kind of, you know, very simplistic way of explaining it. But if you think of things that you would like to see on a map layer, other than damage assessment, because we've already addressed that, Zone Haven will already be on there. Part of Zone Haven will have temporary refuge areas, all sorts of, you know, sheltering and things like that. So we'll have things on there that we'll be utilizing. But if you can think of anything outside the box, let me know, because they're definitely looking for some input from CERT groups, CERT managers. So if you can think of anything, let me know. I'll have a better update for you guys. I think it's kind of interesting. And I think, you know, we can look at some of these programs that can help our community, and we can use these layers to, you know, during a disaster to help out the fire department. Like we do our damage assessments, and that goes on to, you know, this GIS mapping platform. And then the fire department can look at and go, oh, I see that in zone, 51, there's a couple of, there's a structure fire and there's a tree down. So definitely, want to think about that for the future. I'm going to stop sharing. Do you guys have any questions? No? Okay. All right.
Oh, one question.
Wait, I got to get to my unmute.
Oh, wait. Oh,
go ahead,
sorry.
Drew.
Okay.
You were first.
Okay.
Oh, well, that's okay. Just a quick question. Did you say because I'm looking at you on my iPhone and it's like 1.5 point type. So you're sending out the slides, right?
Yes, I'm going to send out the slides, and then thank you, Neil. I really should have recorded it. I totally spaced it. So thank you, Neil, for that. I'm recording it. Thank you, Dave. I think I figured you and Neil would have some input on some mapping as well. So definitely all ears for that. Yes, awesome. And then Dave, did you want to talk about something too?
Yeah, just that I had some ideas for the GIS mapping, and we can take that offline, but there's clearly a, 3 or 4 different things that we've always wanted in CERT.
Yeah, and definitely. So anything written up, Neil? So no. And to be honest, when they first started this project, yeah, I'll see what I can do about getting the notes. When they first started this, it was really messy, and a lot of emergency managers stepped out of that project because it was so discombobulated. They've gotten a lot better. So I will see if I can do a demo for you guys. So I think I have the login now. So at the next meeting, I will show you what I'm talking about. They just made a collaborative, setup so that we can go on it and kind of demo it. So I'll demo it and see what kind of notes I can bring up, Neil, so that maybe it will make a little bit more sense. Mira, do you want to just say what your question is?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you, Victoria. Can you repeat it?
Do you want to just ask what your question is? I can't really see the chat very well. Can you?
I was just thinking if while we do the community outreach, if you would consider reaching out to the school community. We have a lot of students living in the hills, and they can take the information back to their families.
Good idea. I actually have been looking into the youth. They call it the youth, right? That teen and youth. And I've got a whole catalog of things we can use for youth. And I actually ordered some things through Fema. So that is definitely part of what we should start for recruitment as well. So I agree with you 110%. We do have a lot of students in the area.
One way to reach them would be through the school PTAs. It looks just a little bit more official, and parents actually read communication coming from the PTA.
Good to know. Are you on the PTA, Mira?
I am on the PTA, I don't hold any positions, but yes, I'm a member of the PTA.
Okay, but you could get us to someone who's in that position, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, we'll be talking offline about that too. That's good that you brought that up, because that's one of the things that I have kind of, let's get back to the recruitment stuff. Where was I at? There we go.
I was just going to mention a couple of resources. One was that in Palo Alto, we did a hybrid, mostly online CERT, which I took, and I thought it was very good. It was the first time I'd never been able to schedule the classes. There was no chance, but being able to do it mostly on my time was very good. Another is that there's a recent book that's come out called Resilience and Psychological First Aid for Community Responders. Nick Arnett is local. He's a Cupertino, and he's a fire chaplain. He's on the Antelope Fire right now. He's a medical lead for counseling firefighters. But this is an excellent book focused. I just sent an Amazon link on a little more depth on psychological first aid compared to the CERT training, if anybody's interested. And he's got another book that's also just published called Stress into Strength, which is a more general thing about that.
Yes, thank you so much. We actually did a hybrid program as well. I talked to, is it Dan Melick? That's part of the CERT group there in Palo Alto, and Nathan. They gave me a lot of good information because they had done it before we did. but we did launch a hybrid, and they were super helpful and supportive in that in our launch. So I definitely thank them for that. And we had a couple of presentations that we offered through Los Altos Prepares that Nick Arnett spoke at. And I agree with you. I was really impressed. And thank you for putting that in the chat, because I think those are really important books to read for sure.
And Nick is a great guy. I knew him through tech stuff before he was doing this.
Yeah, he's been around for a long time. A lot of people know him really well. I've never had the opportunity to meet him, but I hope I can soon. He seems really awesome. So speaking of recruiting, since that's one thing that we definitely want to start up again, I have signed, I'm going to say us, but it's really me, unless I can get some help, for some events coming up. I think that the town is really interested in using us. We've already done a couple of events already for first aid, which I think is a great way for us to recruit people. However, our brochure is a little bit out of date, and I'm working on getting us some more swag and things like that, so we can really get out there and be prominent. So I'm really trying to find any opportunity I can for us to get out there and talk about the group and what we do. And thanks to Steve Kellum, so we have a focus group actually before I, thank you, Steve. We have Steve, Janice, and Rick Ellinger, and we've met and talked about how we can make the brochure a little more explanation of what we do as CERTs, not scare them away, but let them kind of know, hey, this is, we're here, this is what we do. And Steve has a really good brochure that he's put together, and I know he wants some feedback. So Steve, I don't know if you want to send that out to the group after, but he had some really good ideas, and I'm really excited for that. So our now four events, because I think we're going to be October 16th as well. The first big event is going to be a Los Altos Hills Hoedown. So I really need a couple people to come and just hand out brochures, talk to people about CERT. I'll probably have a spin wheel. I'm not going to let everyone touch it. It'll probably be one person with gloves on, and we'll hand out some prizes. During that same time, I'm also going to have the teen CERTs out there. They're going to have one person at their table talking about teen CERT, well, the same tables. And then we're also going to be having one roving safety team. And I would really love to see if someone from this group would be willing to, obviously I'd be there too, but kind of supervise them and teach them how to look for safety. They don't, they've never really been taught too much about that. They've taken the classes and things like that, but I thought it'd be really good. And then also kind of do some just very, minor handheld radio education. They can talk back and forth to me. It could be the IC or the net control, whatever you guys want to call it. So I'm hoping to have some people sign up for that. Also too, we're signed up for the Los Altos Art and Wine Festival. I've asked for us to be next to the Santa Clara County Fire Department table. Again, someone to come out. Now it's a long day. It's a long weekend actually. So my thought process is I'm going to create a doodle, or I'm going to do both. A doodle, and not a lot of people some people aren't fans of doodle. So I'm going to doodle it, and as well send out an email. And I'd like to see if we can do like maybe 2-hour rotations, but to come out and help us at the table. Same thing, help spread the word for CERT. We're going to spin wheel, we'll have the prizes. I also got us one of those they're called feather flags. They're really tall ones, and it says CERT on it. So really trying to kind of beef us up a little bit. And then we're also going to have another table at Vines and Wines, October 10th. Same thing. We are going to offer a first aid tent. I don't know how many. I think there's only like 200 or 300 people that go to this event. But you never know. They're going to be drinking. Maybe some will fall. Who knows? But I think these are all great opportunities. And now we can add on October 16th. Thank you to Walt for the invite as recruitment to see if we can get some parents and CERT. But my key questions for you guys, and I know I'm opening up a can of worms here, but if we do this, I just want to make sure that I have the conversation with you guys. So we were going to do, I'm going to stop this right now. We were going to do an in-person drill this weekend, but the panel of people that we were discussing it with didn't really feel comfortable getting together in person. With that being said, we have all these events coming up. As to right now, they're all scheduled. I will obviously be there, and if I have to take the hit for all these times, I will. But how does the group feel about comfort level of going to an outside event? I mean, if we did or got permission to do another drill that's outside, what would the comfort level be? I just want to know where to go and where to steer myself in the next, 2 or 3 months. I don't want to make people uncomfortable, but again, we really want to try to take advantage of some of these situations for recruitment. So just thoughts from the group.
Victoria, I would be fine with outside events, no problem.
Okay, and obviously, we're gonna be wearing masks, right?
Right.
That's good to know. Thank you, Bridget. Does anyone else have any?
Are you going to require vaccination?
No.
Okay.
It's really your comfort level, right? Because even if you're vaccinated, we're still able to get COVID and pass it on. So I'm not really sure to require it would be something that would be appropriate. I think it's really your comfort level.
There is a chance you can pass on Delta.
Yeah. That's why
if you're not vaccinated, there's a much higher chance of passing on everything.
Correct. So again, I don't want to put restrictions on people, but whatever your comfort level is, I think is really, really what I'm asking.
Victoria?
Yes.
This is Drew. Have you had any further, I know you're talking about a tabletop with staff. And is that something we could do kind of jointly with anybody from ECC who could volunteer for that? Is there something we could kind of put in, kind of the town, our perspective related to that?
I think that's definitely something to talk about. I think everyone here is comfortable with doing a tabletop virtually, right? That's never an issue. But yeah, I would like to. So we asked the town to be, we thought we would want the town to be involved in this August 21st drill, but I think Neil brought up some good reasons why that probably didn't need to happen, and I agree with him. But I think we're trying to encourage the town to do some kind of emergency communications drill and activate their EOC, because really, there's new people in and out of there. They haven't really done a whole lot, I think, the last couple of years. And since Cody's new, he asked me to help him with the tabletop exercise for the town staff. So I looped Drew into it. And of course, I'll take any suggestions from anybody else, but I think it would behoove us to see if we could sort of piggyback off that, if you will. I don't know if they have a set date yet, but we'll be throwing that out too. But that will most likely be a virtual thing. I don't think that would be an in-person anyway, right, Drew?
My understanding from Deborah is that as of the end of September, we're done with Zooming for our committee, but it kind of depends. She said, yeah. So October, so theoretically would be live. However, with whoever mentioned the rise of the Delta strain, whether that's going to push it out further. But right now, Eduardo and I are targeting live not from New York, from Los Altos Hills, ECC. So the day after my birthday.
Lovely.
October 5th, I think it is.
How does the group feel about our Zoom in person versus not in person? How are you guys all feeling about that?
I think as the Delta stuff gets more and more prevalent, I start to look at it relative to where we were last October. And we seem to be on a similar trajectory where it's going to get a lot worse before it gets much better here. And, for me, it's kind of a wait and see thing. I've started to get a lot more careful about even where I go out. And, I've been masked up anyway except for that short period where we had a lot of people vaccinated and no Delta. So I've been getting more and more careful as time goes by here, because it really does seem like there's plenty of breakthrough cases, and the overall case rate is pretty high.
Yeah, I think you're right. I've been kind of limiting myself as well. And I usually don't kind of blow it off, but I think when you start hearing Delta, and then there's Lambda, whatever after that, another one coming after that. It's like they're already lining up these different strains, right? And they're already giving vaccinations again to people who are immune compromised. And we're going down a path, I think, that's similar to what we went through last year. I just don't want you guys to think that I'm giving up on, you know, on us doing in person and giving up on these things, but I don't want to make people feel uncomfortable either. So, you know, that's kind of where I'm at.
We could target things that would, you know, while the weather is relatively good, whatever, you know, something outdoor around City Hall or something like that. Not necessary, like even if you did an EOC orientation, you could always just kind of walk around, and it's plenty to see around the outside of the EOC, and the access and some of those things could be covered with social distancing, I think. So you might start thinking about some things that could be educational in that context, you know, even those things where we used to meet at the park with the ham radio and practice changing frequencies and stuff. That's something you can easily socially distance on.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think what I'll do is I'm going to send out, you know, an ask, but, you know, I really would love some help with these events. You know, I think, you know, in the surveys that we took, you know, recruitment was a huge thing, and I agree 100%. I think that we're, you know, working on some things to help our recruitment, some different kind of media and things like that. So I really would like to see us, if we can, you know, get through these events. Like I said, if you want to come for an hour, 2 hours, I mean, I'm there all day, but it would be good to get some help. So I'll send out a doodle with the dates. You guys tell me if you're available, and I'll send a regular email out, because I know I've got a group of people who are not fans of doodle. So, you know, between those two, you know, we'll figure it out. But I really would love some help with that. And I want to say thank you to Steve. You know, doing a brochure is never fun. It's a lot of work. And he's done a really good job and have some really good ideas. And thank you to Janice and Rick as well. I think the next thing we're going to tackle is some appreciation for the group. And, you know, we've come up with some good ideas. So if you want to join our focus group, anyone's welcome. I think these focus groups help, because in large environments like this, it's kind of hard to speak up and people don't feel comfortable. So I definitely think that's a good way to go. That is pretty much it for me. Does anybody have anything else that they want to talk about?
Oh, there's also talk about having booster shots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like 6 months after your original. So that for me would be September.
Yeah, I'm already timed out technically, right? Because I got mine beginning of January. So, you know, they said it was good for 6 months. Now they're saying a year, but now they're going, okay, well, some people need to get it. Yeah, I mean, we definitely are not heading down a path of we're over this, right? It seems like it's building up and building up. So I think, Dave, you brought up a good point. You know, we'll kind of just take things as they go. You know, obviously, the district may have some other, you know, thoughts on getting together in person, but, you know, if you're comfortable with coming to these recruitment events, I would love to have your help. You know, we'll trudge on and do what we can do, but I think we can take this time to also get some other things in place, like we are. So if you have any ideas, as always, I'm an open book on that. So please try to go to the LAFCO meeting. I know Ann and I are working on our schedule for the rest of the year, but I'd like to also at our next CERT Supervisor meeting talk about what we want to do for training next year. Again, we're going to be hitting the COVID, what we're going to do thing, but you know, training ideas are always helpful to know what you guys want to do. I can definitely look for some more advanced training too, although a lot of that needs to be in person because of skills, but we can definitely look at some of those ideas that you guys had for advanced training. I know we're kind of sick of the same stuff over and over again, right? So awesome. Thank you so much again, Walt, for coming. Appreciate it. Lisa, thank you for coming on too. And Steve Padovan / Robert Johnson, thank you for you too. And you guys all have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, have a good night, you guys.
You
Okay.
too,
Thank you. Bye.
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 Thank you, Victoria. Good meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Thanks for coming.